Hello, writers. This is Lee Jessup, career coach for emerging and professional screenwriters. And today I wanted to take you into a bit of a confessional, if you will, if you'll indulge me. Um, I wanted to talk about notes, and I wanted to talk about giving notes and giving the kind of notes that are hard to give, specifically when something doesn't work. Now, I know that whenever you work on a script, you work really hard. You put a lot of time, energy, thought into it. Hopefully, you've learned the craft, you've gone through drafts, you've done what you can. And then we, people like me, screenwriting professors, consultants, friends, will encourage you to go out there and get some notes on the work. And sometimes the notes come back as you want them to, and sometimes they really don't. And I just want to talk for a second about getting difficult notes, notes that imply that the work is not landing how you want it to land, that's not being received how you want it to be received. I know that it's really hard. I know that ultimately that's not what you're aiming for when you work really hard on your screenplay. But it's important to remember that growth comes from friction. It doesn't mean you have to take every note. It doesn't mean that whoever is giving you the note is right or wrong. Notes are opinions. I got in an argument once about whether or not notes are objective or subjective. Well, there is no such thing as an objective note because we all bring in our opinion and our sensibilities and our taste levels and all of that to notes. And you have to remember that when you receive those notes. But I also think it's really important to remember that nobody with half a heart and a bit of a soul likes giving highly critical notes. It's a really painful thing to do. It's knowing that how hard writers work on their writing, knowing how much they want a positive opinion, knowing that people, for example, come to me, and granted, I'm not a reader or an analyst or a writing consultant, but in my capacity as a career coach, I read scripts every day and I tell writers what I think every day. I'm recording this after a day in which I had 5 sessions, 3 in which I gave notes on work. So people like us who read all the time and respect the work know that you're working really hard. And so I hope that you know that we understand that it's painful to hear, right? The only thing worse than giving those really harsh notes is receiving those really harsh notes. Now, you have the right to completely disagree with it. And you have the right to say, I went and got a bunch of other notes from other people who all love it. So I really don't care what you think about it, or I disagree with you. I think disagreeing is perfectly allowed. I've worked with writers where they saw things one way and I saw things another. And ultimately, it's their name on the script. So they have to decide what they're willing to put their name on and what they're willing to fight for. And it's not to say that I won't support them when they do, because I have. And I think that anybody working with screenwriters understands that ultimately it's the screenwriter's choice, and it's for us to go out there and support the writer however we can. But all of this is really kind of boiling down to the idea that as difficult as those notes are to receive, as much as they don't live up to your hopes and your expectations, and they break your heart a little or a lot, frustrate you, irritate you, all the feelings are totally valid. Just know that giving them is really difficult. The most difficult is when you're giving hard notes that you can't deconstruct in a way that can be additive to the work. I remember years ago, I had read a pilot that a writer of mine that I'd been working with was working on, and she engaged all of the best writing consultants in town and worked really hard on it and, put blood, sweat, and tears into it. And she sent it to me on a Saturday, and I think we're meeting on a Monday morning. So I read it on a Sunday night and proceeded to not sleep the entire night. And this is not about my whatever. This is actually about her greatness, because I read it and all I can think was, like, I can see all the boxes she's checking. I can see her doing all the things that you are told to do in a TV pilot. And yet it's not working. It's not landing. I'm not feeling it. And the thought of having to tell her that, knowing how much time and energy and money and resources went into developing that pilot, was freaking heartbreaking. But the greatness of this writer, and you know who you are, is that I sat down with her on a Monday morning and I was like, I read it. I see it. I don't know why. It is not clicking for me. I'm not feeling it. It's not emotionally resonating. It's not working for me, and I don't know why. And the brilliance of this woman was that she sat there and she said, I don't know why, but I feel the same way. Now, the happy ending to the story is that she then went and worked on a new pilot. She got a little time. She licked her wounds and dealt with the sadness of letting go of a project that you really believed in but didn't click. She then went and wrote another pilot. And that next pilot, I remember her sending it to me and I was like, this is a different writer. This is a different experience, because she experienced so much growth with all the notes and all the way that she challenged herself with that other pilot, that really, in retrospect, should have started as a book. And there are a lot of reasons that you look back at and go like, that's why. But she went through so much growth that next pilot was the pilot that got her signed. It was the pilot that got her, I believe, a writing assignment. Like, that was the pilot where things started to move. So while there was heartbreak in letting go of that initial work, there was also a ton of growth that took place that allowed the writer to become who she was going to be. All right, you guys, thank you for indulging me in this confession. Keep watching, subscribe, and hopefully we'll connect soon.